as players, at least from what we've seen. But as we load in here, it's not going to all be about you've got your champs, you need to execute on them. And in fairness, Gangplank isn't the easiest to execute on, especially now that you are able to see the barrels.
Yeah, I do think this comp can be a little finicky. They do have to be a little careful how they use their Rel and Nocturne engage, given that the rest of the members kind of want to go back. And a lot of biscuits picked up by Frank. I guess they're hungry.
Yeah, Conqueror for the Azir, not going to be that lethal tempo.
Yeah, I'm a little sad to see that. It's still a solid choice, though. Ward dropped at level 1.
Minions have spawned.
They are going to get some confirmation, maybe, on which side Kongyue starts. Ooh, 200 games for Eminem.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of these players now reaching some high numbers of games. I believe it was Pretender yesterday at 100. Now Eminem 200, and Kaiwing, this will be his 251st.
Okay, Kongyue is going to solo start the Raptors, and 116 I think is going to leash him. Okay. So that actually adds quite a bit of damage to this, and it's going to speed up his clear a fair amount. Will mean, obviously, that he can't use his first Q on the lane, but it's fine.
I mean, ironically, it kind of just keeps him on pace with Nocturne.
Yeah.
Obviously, Nocturne really, really quick at clearing these camps, especially the Raptors. Oh, okay.
Nice
Solo Kill already
little trade.
finding nice trades.
Yeah. So 116, I think he should be able to deal quite a lot of damage in this lane early. There's no corrupting pot on Pretender, and he hasn't gone for a particularly strong laning setup. So I would expect the Nico to be the one pulling ahead, but it's after level 6 that things start to kind of swing back in Azir's favor. So how much can he get done pre-6? We'll have to see. So far, though, it looks like he's doing a good job. Forces that Q out of Pretender, which he definitely did not want to use. Ooh, nice dodge, though. A lot of stuff happening in mid very, very early.
Wow, Pretender finding pretty decent trades for himself, but is costing him a lot in the mana bar. I think one thing that's important, you saw obviously BYG and especially Kira's really high up in that first blood percentage, but on a champ like Braum, doesn't have the same level of sort of playmaking as Kaiwing will have the access to on the Rel. So something to keep note of as especially the bot lane progresses and the junglers head towards that lane.
If he could be. Pretender, he's getting a little low here without that corrupting pulse sustain. Might be forced into an early reset, and you definitely would not want to die early here as Azir. Need to be able to scale well into this game. And Hollow, looks like both junglers actually will finish up their clear on their last camps. And we'll see where they look for after that. I feel like Kongyue kind of gets to choose where he wants to go right now. Has 3 lanes of prio. Could even play for a double scuttle potentially. With Pretender, it looks like he got his base cancelled as well. And I feel like big mismanagement in the mid lane. Right, Pretender is significantly behind early, which you are expecting a little bit of a deficit versus Nico. But the Doran's Ring start is extremely greedy, and he bases for Sapphire refillable. So this is here not going to be impactful early. Ooh, can there be a cancel here? Oh, just barely. But mid items, you know, well and truly in favor of 116. And Kongyue, he wants to go for the double crab. He pulls up his bot lane.
Dangerous. Both mid laners are relatively healthy, but it should be 116 with a lot more prio. Does pick up the crab, but it costs him his flash.
He does. The old flash for crab trade.
Every jungler loves that one.
Yeah, you have to do it. But yeah, I feel like a lot of that does kind of stem from how the mid lane is going. Again, you're sort of expecting Nico to get prio, but not this much. And obviously the bot lane getting prio with that Ashe kind of makes it impossible. Now, Hollow did get it, and I don't think his flash is super valuable.
Yeah. It'll almost be back up, you feel,
yeah,
by the time he really wants to look for something with that paranoia. It can mean a lot, though, in instances like this, where Kongyue now, with so much priority over these lanes, is just going to look for invades. Smite Battle should come out here. Have to see who this goes to. It is going to be Kongyue.
And he gets himself a nice little lead there. And that is what you want on the Viego. You know, as much as we kind of meme on the Viego for being a pretty lackluster pick here in the PCS, if it does snowball, it's a different champ completely. It can be very, very difficult to deal with. And big trades come out on bot, blocked up mainly by Keros. Oh, nice damage at the end there.
But again, we are seeing just the power of putting up this Braum wall against the Xayah. Something we saw last game as well. Oh, okay, they do not land it here, but there is no Brawl Maul for this instance, and Cleanse does come out, but it's first blood now found for Kaiwing. As they look for something onto Betty, he should be okay to just run this one out, though. Oh, and Hollow, level 4 Nocturne. Not often you see that get much, but it does get the Dominus out in this instance.
Yeah, getting the Dominus, it's a really big cooldown, I feel like, and they got it relatively for free. Oh, nice barrel solo kill.
Oh, is it for free? Should have.
Ooh.
Oh, it doesn't have oranges, but
He takes a lot of damage and
should be level 6 though.
Yeah, he does need to be careful how low he gets. Okay, Viego reset. Viego was on this side of the map, but does so for the reset, so it feels like there's no threat of a dive. But yeah, so far, I think the early game is looking relatively good for Frank, all things considered. They got that first blood onto the bot lane. Mid lane's a little behind, but again, not too bad. Because it does outscale pretty heavily.
One thing that can be really, really scary here for both the Nico and bot lane is you are now dealing with a Nocturne and a Gangplank ult. As soon as obviously Nocturne hits 6, but that means your lanes are a lot more dangerous because they're not only going to be impacted by your isolated lane, but also the Gangplank can just throw his cannon barrage down or whatever lane's happening, and Paranoia, Nocturne can come in from well outside of ward range.
A lot of damage traded onto Pretender. Does have that refillable. And Kaiwing shows up top. It's going to clear out some of this vision. And Herald's not for a while, so he's going to need to head back bot. And I wonder if that's actually a good play or not, because Kaiwing going top there, I think almost guarantees that he won't be level 6 for the Herald. And beyond, they're the ones starting this up. Can this be contested? Yeah, Kaiwing feels like maybe he's just putting out some fires right now.
It does, I think, yeah. He might not get as much XP, but he is allowed now for solo kill to feel more safe in his lane, as well as pretending to get that shove in. So, all things considered, I think that was a pretty good decision.
If they can just keep the early game stable, feels good as Betty. He's getting a bit of aggro on bot, but Eminem trades back well. Oof. A lot of damage on the back end, though. And that wave is in a pretty tough position.
Yeah. Don't have the damage desire to reliably clear this. Although you have just touched 6, so you do feel a little bit safer. Flash is also still available.
1 on 6, continuing to get aggro on mid. Oh, nice dodge.
Oh, okay, Empress Divide comes through, and it's going to be Hollow coming. He does find the fear here. Pop Blossom is the answer, but it looks like might just be a trade here. Both junglers picking themselves up one as Kongyue shows his proficiency here on the Azir. Isn't going to find a kill.
Yeah, I mean, he must have played a lot of Viego. I'm assuming he hasn't played much Azir. But did know the combo there. And now Pretender with the Mercs will probably be safe from anything like that. But I think both junglers are actually very happy with that, right? Like, getting that first kill is very important for both champs. And this is the Azir gank setup that so many mids are scared of. Now, Nico actually a decent answer to this, just because you have some CC and some survivability. Ends up just being a 1-for-1. I think that might be slightly better for Viego, just because he feels like he snowballs harder. But I think both mids, again, or both junglers, excuse me, pretty happy with that.
Yeah. But it is ultimately first Dragon as well as first Herald likely to be picked up here for Beyond, so...
Yeah.
Gold remaining fairly equal. I think scaling does favor Frank here. It's pretty hard to bet against the Gangplank. But the tools required for Beyond are coming in their favor to push their advantage and get themselves some gold lead. Obviously, they are ahead, as well as picking up their Herald as a bit of a more of a in-the-future investment.
Yeah, I think securing the second dragon is such a big milestone that if they can get that, it would be really big, just because it kind of forces Frank to come out of their shell and fight that third dragon later on.
What's Betty building? Is he going static?
Shiv, yeah.
Okay, we don't usually see that. It's usually the Kraken, but let him cook. Can't
I
really...
guess he's not going to auto much.
Yeah, true.
It's a tough comp to be an Ashe, I would say.
And I guess it does mean that you're able to almost match the Xayah in wave clear, which can be important, particularly around those mid waves. And you want to be out of the mid waves as quick as possible, being that you are against the Nocturne as well.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it is just that, right? You can just tap the wave and leave as opposed to being vulnerable to that Nocturne Gangplank rel. Solo kill. He's down a bit of CS, but you'd have to say that still favors Gangplank, right? Despite being down CS, you probably are winning.
He's probably up gold, just because of his passive anyway.
Yeah, there were some top plates taken, though, or one top plate, I think.
Oh, true. Maybe not then. But in terms of CS gold, I think he's relatively even, if not ahead.
He's fairly happy.
And yeah, as you said, I mean, you're expecting the Renekton to have pressure early. It should trade, sort of turn around as soon as what looks like Essence is going to be picked up. Eminem going to just take the Enchanted Crystal Arrow as Kaiwing stops any form of engage. Really well played there by Kaiwing.
Managed to save Cleanse, which is pretty important, especially if they do want to fight for the second drag.
Yeah.
And I'm not actually sure they will. I think they might want to give another drag over and just give a bit more time for Azir to scale.
Yeah, Azir looks really, really weak right now.
Yeah, it looks like Azir will be going for the Nashes next. Kind of remains to be seen. Will he go chapter Nashes or just straight Nashes? He has Mana Crystal, but I mean, at this point, I think you might as well just build the Nashes. It's kind of gotten past the point where the chapter is really useful. And this is sometimes the worry with Conqueror Azir, is it does kind of take a little while. You don't have a lot of attack speed early. But I think we saw 2 lethal tempos on the Azir yesterday, and I think I do prefer it. We'll have to see if he's ready or not to fight early at this next drag, only a minute away. Essence Reaver now completed for solo kill. I think if Frank is smart, they probably just give this over.
Yeah. Especially if you can get 2 items on the Gangplank. I mean, it's a bit far-fetched to be able to find yourself up the second item on Gangplank before the next dragon, but if you are able to fight for that, as well as you really do want at least 1 item here on the Xayah. Delic Shiv completed for Betty already.
Yeah, it was very early, and we saw on that damage, or on the gold graph, that Pretender was the lowest gold outside of the supports. Really kind of languishing here with some very weak items.
For sure.
And while Azir isn't really your solo carry in this comp, you know, you've got a Xayah and a Gangplank, he is still your solo AP. And so he's going to need some time to get some gold to come online. And I hope that Frank just try and trade, play for something on the top side. Because it should just be beyond second drag. But then you really got to be thinking, you know, can you contest that third one?
I think you have a better shot at the third one than this one.
Okay, so Pretender going straight towards the Nashes now. I do like it, given how much he had to invest already, you know, into early game items with those Mercs. Kind of feels like you need some power. You need to be able to hit at least 1 item before that next drag. Otherwise, they're going to be pretty useless. Solo kill should now, I think, start to slightly pull ahead. Or at least try. But it's been a pretty stable game, all things considered, from 2 teams that often were very explosive. But I think part of that is just the champs. It's quite hard to make a lot happen onto lanes like Azir or Xayah, or even the Gangplank, right? Has a way to get out of the ganks, of course.
Yeah, definitely. But ultimately, I think as a Gangplank, you're feeling fairly okay in this game, being that you are just being given free time to slowly farm up. Obviously, you've lost 2 plates, but reasonably inconsequential because the gold going on you is far more valuable than the gold on a Renekton.
Does feel like that. And he should pull further and further ahead as the game goes on. Dominus committed.
Dominus committed, yeah.
Ooh.
Cannon Barrage will just be here for cleaning out the wave, and I think that's good. Now, Kongyue up on this side was maybe looking for a dive, making sure that wave's gone.
Yeah, I think smart choice. Probably thought as soon as the Dominus was popped that Kongyue would just be around.
Yeah.
Got to get rid of that wave as soon as possible to ensure you aren't dived. But it does mean that there won't be any Gangplank ult for a cross-map play for at least some time here. And can this be stopped?
Oh, Hollow in the area. Lakai will be found out. Kaiwing as well. There's going to be Paranoia committed. Slice and Dice will be able to go through, and healing from that Cull the Meek. Definitely really helpful for surviving, as Enchanted Crystal Arrow will come through. Kaiwing does get off that jump before it lands, and nothing else to come from this, but I like the proactivity. Nothing comes of it, but trying to look for that Renekton. He's a very hard person to take down, but if you can find gold onto Gangplank, you do love it.
Beyond, this tower's been taking a lot of chip damage from that Nico versus Zio. So I wouldn't be surprised if they can start to look to pick it up. Especially if they get second Herald. Oh, being looked at.
Yeah, it does land the stun though. It's going to be really helpful. And just look at how much damage Braum can block from the Xayah. It feels so terrible.
On the other side of the map though, Pretender is going to get some much needed time just to farm up some solo XP. It looks like Frank as well will try and trade this once again. So this is a lot of objectives being traded, and they're not really trading for gold. They're really trading for time, if anything. Yeah. Which I think does favor them, but Beyond are getting everything they want. So it remains to be seen if they can get enough done with it. I think this mid tower probably does fall immediately here. And
Yeah,
Kongwei
definitely.
can go back to just taking some camps.
But importantly, with this mid lane tower going down, opens up the map entirely. So coming towards this third dragon should have favorable map control for Beyond. And at this stage, you really do want to be contesting that dragon as Frank. You're not going to have that second item coming through, and you're looking for a third tower. 3 towers to 0 feels pretty terrible. You are, again, as you said, playing for time. But you can't play for too much time because you are on this dragon timer.
No. So Azir does have the Nashes now, and I think with that, Frank should be willing to contest this third drag. But if you can't, I feel like giving over 3 drags might be a bit too much because, again, they haven't really traded it for any gold. Oftentimes you see, you know, one team picking up the drags, the other team picking up the heralds, and using that to allow themselves, you know, the kind of item advantage for some of those later fights. But they really don't have that here. A minute away, Beyond, they have more control over mid as well. The turret's down, and they've got the Shiv. They can push it both quickly.
Wow, look how much
and far up.
XP Eminem's ahead of Bedian.
Yeah, okay.
Almost a
Almost
whole
a full
level. Yeah. I guess that's just the benefit of Kaiwing having roamed so much. You see Kaiwing there down a whole level himself, but you feel a lot better having that level on your Xayah than you do on the Rel in any case. Looking for Kongwei here. I wonder if he had the sweeper going. With that ward, he'll definitely know there's people in the bush, but importantly, Gangplank is down on his bot side, so he can set up some barrels. Eminem has to be so careful on every mid wave, though.
He does. Has to play very far back. And Pretender, right now, he's playing around top. So isn't at this Herald and might lose a lot of his health here. Could even get his E blocked. Ooh, okay, does manage to get out, but probably now needs to base and TP if he wants to contest this drag.
I think he has to.
Ooh, is he going to start it up, though? Or is he just going to go for a normal TP? No base. I mean, maybe he's going to try trade the top tower. Okay, so TP comes in. He's not full HP, though.
Hey, Frank are the ones starting this, and you see Nico coming down the side here. Bake Braum. I'm sure there'll be a way of that after aware of that, seeing Kira's up on the top side.
And this team fight's very crucial.
Lakai, Dominus popped, and it's going to be the Paranoia used as a disengage tool. But importantly, this dragon is going to go down. It is BYG who find it. That's going to be their 4th and 5-man Pop Blossom again. It's going to be Kongwei finding his first reset as Pretender dives on in. He doesn't have the damage. 2 found, but another 5-man Pop Blossom. And finally, we're seeing why Nico is so important internationally.
That champ is just so broken. I mean, it's so hard to play against in these fights. And you've got to wonder here, for the side of Frank, was this maybe just too much scaling? Because now, you're down 4k gold, you're down 3 dragons to 0. It's pretty tough, right? Like, you do scale well, but you're kind of on the clock. You're going to have to fight pretty soon after. And Frank, they're the ones starting. Looks like their position is good, but Nico, you know, manages to find the way in. Once again, same as last game, disguised as a Braum. Gets in with the flash proto belt pop blossom. I feel like I literally just watched this last game. And it's so impactful, right? Just so much CC comes through. Pretender, he did almost trade back.
Yeah, 2 stopwatches on his Emperor's Divide.
Yeah. But that's rough, and I think with that, Beyond are in the much better position of forcing Frank to contest this next drag very soon. Now Herald, or Baron, excuse me, in 45 more seconds. Beyond, they're going to try and move Solar Kill away from this tower, which I think is very good. If you can stop the Gangplank from farming, again, it slows it down. And as long as you don't let Frank scale, as long as you don't let them kind of get towards 2-3 items on their carries, you should still have the advantage in any of these fights.
Eminem and Solo Kill desperately need Navoria before this next fight. I don't think it'll be around Baron. Don't feel like there's enough damage just yet, but if you don't get those second items through on this Xayah and Gangplank, you really aren't going to have the damage to take out these frontliners from Beyond, especially before 1116 finds himself a nice engage. If it's like the last one, probably just game done.
Does feel like that, yeah, but how often are you going to get that 5-man Pop Blossom? I'd say, honestly, once a split, but I've seen it twice in one day.
Once a game.
Once a game. It's 116. I mean, the CS gap mid is starting to be closed, but it really doesn't tell the full story, as he's obviously very good at farming. And Nico, not quite as good, but it's really just that threat in the team fights, the CC that can come out, and even just the zoning sometimes. It's so difficult to deal with. Something I didn't notice is that Nico's disguised as Braum right now shows that she's level 9 as well on the scoreboard.
Oh, wow.
But she is, in fact, level 13. Master of Disguise, indeed. 2 minutes on this 4th Dragon, and Frank, I don't think they're going to hit their Navoris in time. Maybe the Leandries can come through and Pretender.
Solo kill coming back. He might have it.
Yeah, he has the best chance, I think, of having it.
It doesn't, just the BF sword.
Okay.
So getting as much power as possible. BF sword, importantly, is about 400 gold off of having it.
Yeah.
So very,
He is
very close.
I wonder, will they just give him the midwaves, maybe?
Well,
I guess
I think
Eminem might be close
Eminem really
too.
needs it as well. Eminem has a lot of farm and assist. But again, that Gangplank passive gold is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah. I almost feel like, Frank, maybe you just try and trade Baron? Just try and do Baron over the wall? I mean, you've got a ton of damage. By the way, take a look at the jungle CS. I feel like a lot of this is just, you know, Kongwei obviously playing well, but without Prio in any of the lanes, Kongwei's just been kind of stealing camps here and there, and especially with that mid tower down and the Shiv Ash, he can just walk into the jungle whenever he wants with full support of his team and just keep taking them away. And Hollow, he's down 3 levels. And it almost feels like it's not his fault.
Yeah, I don't really notice anything that he's done particularly poorly. I think he's played pretty much how he needs to. It is really just your whole map has lost priority, and you're the jungler. Like, you can't really gank them. It's pretty hard to find a gank, especially pre-6 Nocturne, and so you are just constantly bleeding jungle camps here and there.
All right, we got 2 Navoris completed. There is no Leandries on the Azir, but this feels like, Frank, this is kind of do or die. You have to at least get the Dragon here and get enough members out that Beyond can't do Baron. If you can somehow manage that or even win the fight, you're suddenly in a very good position. Like, I think if Frank do win a fight, they're almost like favored to win. This is kind of the tipping point of the game. If Beyond get this Dragon, though,
15 seconds.
So
Kaiwing, Enchanted Crystal Arrow will find him. He is staying alive. Flasher out. So he won't have that, which is an important tool for their engage, but importantly does remain alive. And Tower going down here to Pretender. It has a bounty on it. Maybe this gives him enough for his Leandries.
Yeah, he probably will. Does he have time to base, though? Oh, he's TPing.
Doesn't. It's going to be the Dominus as well as the engage found here for Lakai, who's going to actually flash out. Even him in the middle. There's a massive CC coming through. Eminem trying to find the damage, but it's the Pot Blossom onto both the carries. Flash forward to dodge out of any escape here. And Kongwei will find himself the kill on the Azir. That's going to be the reset. They're looking now for solo kill, and he doesn't feel like he's long for this world. Does deny the barrel as well. Just more and more perfect execution coming out of this Viego, and Hollow as well. It's a clean ace. All 5 found there. And what looked to be a massive team fight for Eminem turns on its head, and Beyond get the Baron.
I think with that, Beyond almost in an unlosable position. I really hope we get a replay of that, because in that fight, Pretender, he TPs in at the same time as 1116 TPs into the top river. Pay attention to the minimap here. Both TPs start at basically the same time, and it's a really far TP for the Nico. But it puts her in such a good position just to be behind these carries. And Frank, they feel like they're in a good position, right? They've got their front line in front. Their back line can DPS fine. But then the Braum that's actually at Nico comes through and just deletes the back line. Eminem taken out instantly, and Pretender, the flash to block the E from 1116. So nice. And that's both the carries once again taken out by that Nico. He's pretty happy with how that fight went and probably how the game's going as 4th Drag being looked at. Leandry's now completed by Pretender, but I think with the Baron and with the control BYG have, it's impossible to contest.
Yeah, losing the soul now does feel like perhaps game good. Maybe they can look for the Elder.
4th Dragon is picked up. Now, they can push mid and bot in. They've obviously got a lot of pressure here. And I think it's very hard for Frank. I mean, they do have a lot of wave clear, which is nice. But will it be enough to stand up to this?
Oh,
Might need to even
not the
Gangplank
damage
ult
you
wave at
need.
some point.
You need your Gangplank to be doing a lot more damage than he is currently doing.
Yeah. If Beyond, they need to find a way to break the base off this though, and I think they should be able to. Tier 2 looks like it will fall now.
Oh
So much
my
damage onto Eminem.
God, Eminem. And China Crystal Arrow coming out will land on a Kaiwing as Eminem having to use the Feather
He's
Storm.
gone.
Wow.
That's just so much random damage almost coming out, and I feel like with that, Beyond might even be able to go for the 2 inhibs as opposed to just breaking the base. They can really speed things up here now. There is no bot wave available, and there is still a lot of wave clear left for Frank. So it's going to take Beyond some time, but they have a full minute of Baron, and Eminem still there for a long, long time.
Yeah, Gangplank Gold will be committed here, but it shouldn't be clearing the wave. It will do a fairly decent amount of work, but oh, nice barrel found. Kira's getting quite low there as Kaiwing again having to jump out. Not the direction you want to be going as this rail. Low health bars are coming through, but they should be able to just take this inhib and back on out.
Okay, well they only got 1, they didn't manage to get 2. It is the bot inhib though, which I think is probably the worst inhib to lose. Makes it very difficult to contest Barons, obviously, although Elder is coming up.
Yeah, I feel like
so
it's...
might be the top inhib would have been the better one.
Elder feels terrible to lose. In fairness, there is a lot of damage that will come through. If Frank can get one more item on, then they're going to start putting out a lot of damage, and with the Elder, could be exactly what they need to try and start turning the scales in their favor. And to be fair, first 3 games of the season we saw from Frank, they looked like they were in a unwinnable position. They found an immaculate team fight to turn it around. Didn't eventuate into anything, but they're going to have to find something here very, very similar.
They will, yeah. Baron up in 3 minutes, and that's a full minute before the Elder, so it's going to be quite hard for Frank to contest, especially with that missing bot inhib. And Viego up, he's getting pretty close to 100 CS here, sitting at about 80, 70. And this has to be the best Viego performance we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Second time from Kongyue as well. Really feels like he's kind of the only one that can consistently pull this off. As they're kind of looking to pressure, but I think without the Baron, there is just way too much wave clear. So I think just farm for 2 more minutes and then maybe look towards that Baron. They maybe do want to make a pick though. They are over the wall. If Kaiwing walks up to that ward, he's going to feel it tomorrow. Does not though. Wisely staying away.
I think Frank realized their wave clear's just far superior and aren't really in risk of losing their base, although in saying that...
Yeah, the tower does not take damage. It's too hard to walk up. But it's so hard, I think, for Frank to actually leave their base and try and contest this Baron. I think once that Baron comes through as well, if Beyond can just push up the waves and then play for Elder, it almost feels like a foregone conclusion. Maybe they can get their items in time.
And I wonder what Eminem is looking for. I imagine it's going to be armor pen, because it feels like he's just wailing in, and even though there's not all that much armor, you do need some, even the health cut down that Lord Dominic's gives will be a lot of added damage.
Well, solo kill, at least with this inhib, he does get himself a lot of farm. Again though, it's just, will it be enough? And Kaiwing,
Oh, doesn't get the stop, but he will get it onto Betty. Betty's caught out. That's going to be the paranoia. It's going to be Cannon Barrage as well. Who are they giving it to? They're giving it to Solo Kill? Oh no, to Pretender. But that's important gold. Betty caught slapping.
Yeah.
Now, he's down for the spawn of... Well, he's up for the spawn of Baron, but he's probably not going to have the speed to get there in time. It still feels impossible for Frank to contest, but important gold.
Yeah, I feel like they were trying to delay the death there. I mean, maybe they were trying to give it to Pretender as well, but this kind of felt just like really greedy recalls, to be honest. And Betty, yeah, it doesn't really have anywhere to go. Now, this was a pretty big cooldown used from Kaiwing, not having flash for that next fight. Still, though, it should be better for Frank getting that huge shutdown onto Pretender.
Shadow
with
Flame.
That, ooh, Shadow Flame. Interesting. I don't think it's the best item, but I think he honestly thinks he just needs the power right now. Like, you have to win this Elder fight no matter what. So I kind of like going for it.
Yeah, I think given the situation, probably might be. Although, if the game extends...
Yeah. Really feels like the game isn't going much longer than this Elder, though. Rabadon's now completed on the Nico. And a Flame Horizon almost completed in the jungle. Feels like not too far off now.
I think you need to, though. I think at this stage, as the Nocturne, you just want to give your carries all of the gold they possibly can. And as long as you turn off the lights and play distraction, that's pretty much all you can hope for. As Baron now will be started here from Beyond, and they're going to absolutely tear through it. But Frank will not be giving this away without a fight, as we see 4 members here, and Solo Kill still in the bot lane. Lakai being looked at here, but Baron down to half health. Important cooldowns down though. Braum lost it. Oh, it's going to be Nico looking again. Pop Blossom comes in, but Eminem Feather Storms it. He's finding so much damage. Is he going to have enough? That's one found. It's Kyrgios. Kongyue now. The Baron has healed up entirely, and it's Eminem. It's Hollow. Eminem's trying to find the damage. He's not going to have it, and all that's left is Pretender, but Kongyue, he's on the chase. Pretender does not have the damage to deal with this, and it is going to be 4 found. Only Kaiwing surviving. For a brief second there, I just thought that maybe Frank had found something.
They were so close. I think if the gold hadn't been so far behind and down just this far in this game, down the Dragon Soul as well, they might have had a chance. Eminem, he put up so much damage in that fight, but it wasn't quite enough to get them over the finish line. And I think with that, Beyonder will pick up this win over Frank.
Well, Kaiwing is delaying. There is only 5 seconds left on this Nocturne, but Nocturne's not who you need. You need the 10 seconds on the Xayah. Kaiwing actually delaying enough. There's no minions around, so Hollow now spawns. It's not going to be the game just yet, but you've lost your support, and Elder Dragon spawned. As well as Baron, actually. It should just be Elder into Baron, and that should be the game, but take a look at this. Take us through a shot.
Extremely close. I mean, the pop lost one on the back line. Pay attention to Pretender. He's dealing a lot of DPS, and he flashes that Q, just barely gets out. And then really now, it's the Eminem show who takes out, or almost took out Betty, and so much damage, but just not quite enough. If he had a tiny bit more, could Gangplank Gold steal
Baron
this?
trade here, looking like it's coming through, and I like this. Are they going to have the DPS to do it? Beyond here are here very, very quickly, and Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes through. It hits Eminem. That's exactly who you want to hit. And the Elder Soul makes sure to claim that. And this is just destruction. Frank, they didn't have much left in the tank, and unfortunately with that, there's no real way I see them coming out with the victory. It is the Elder Dragon to Beyond. It is the game to Beyond. What an absolute banger.
Yeah, I mean, finally, after 32 minutes, it is Beyond the cleaning up, but despite how far they were ahead, you felt like Frank still had chances, just given how well their comp scaled. Ultimately, though, did kind of fail to really get into the game. There are a couple key moments that they mis-executed, and Beyond, they want to farm a little bit more KDA here. They want to chase down Kaiwing. They're going to get him.
They should get him. Elder Soul, yeah, Elder Dragon even. It is ultimately the game here. 2 Beyond, a 9-0-2